Nepal is burning. Yes, you've heard it right. Nepal is burning. The house of the Prime Minister of Nepal is burning as well. The Parliament of Nepal is also burning. The Prime Minister of Nepal, K.P. Sharma Oli, has resigned, and Nepal is in a crisis.
Nepal continues to plunge into its worst political crisis in years.
It's chaos in the Himalayas. The tiny country of Nepal has been gripped by violence.
At least 22 people are dead and hundreds injured after violent protests in the country in the last 24 hours.
Nepal is in a tumultuous situation which has led to a very, very deep crisis. Nepal is in protests by Gen Z. The protests which are led by the young leaders of Nepal, and it is known as a Gen Z protests. The house of Nepal's Prime Minister, K.P. Sharma Oli, plus other ministers were set on fire on Tuesday as protests they raged in defiance of a curfew which was ordered after a day after the killing of 19 protesters. Prime Minister Oli has resigned from his post. Home Minister of Nepal has also resigned, stating moral grounds.
Nepal's Home Minister has resigned from his post, and this comes as the country is facing the deadliest demonstrations of recent times.
Also, the current protesters, which are being called as Gen Z protesters, which means the protests are led by the people younger than 28 years of age. Many of its participants are very, very young. And on Monday, thousands of protesters gathered around the parliament, and parliament started to burn. More than 20 people as of now have been reportedly dead, and this particular crisis is turning itself into a very deep one. Also, now the President Ramchandra Bodel has called the protesters for talks, but the future remains uncertain. This is the first time that the youth of Nepal, that is the Gen Z of Nepal, has been mobilized on the streets like this. And organizers has also asked the political parties and their youth wings to stay away from these protests, which means all these protests are purely citizen-led. Now, according to several experts, this protest was started by the social media ban imposed by Nepal on prominent social media companies all across the world. And because of that ban, eventually the protest simmered. But what is the real reality? Why Nepal is burning? Why people of Nepal, youth of Nepal is so angry? And what are the demands? All these questions we'll be trying to answer in this particular session. And plus, how it holds well and how it holds for India, and what is going to be the impact of these protests on India, we'll be trying to understand as well. Hello, my name is Preetpal Singh, and you all are watching Perspective. Now, Kathmandu airport has been closed, and hundreds of Indians have been stranded in the airport as well, which is why for India also, this situation is very worrisome, and India is monitoring the situation very, very closely. Now, the first task in front of us is to understand the reasons for this protest and how this protest started. See, there were few protests like this few months back also in Nepal, but they were silenced. But now these protests are in very huge magnitude. See, it all started when a few weeks back, several social media apps were banned by the government of Nepal. So actually what happened was that Meta-owned apps like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, or other applications like X or YouTube, they were banned in Nepal because of these companies not following a specific order by the Nepal's government. Now the Nepal's government has sought to regulate these social media giants and social media companies for more than a year. Also, they have cited several reasons for doing it, whether it be cybercrime, whether it be fake news or misleading content, or several other things as well. Which is why last month they came up with a special circular, which means that the social media companies had to adhere to certain terms, which means the government gave these companies a final deadline under which they have to register with the government. They have to name a grievance handler and also agree to remove any post which is flagged by the government sources or which is flagged by the government. Now, the companies which did not agree to this and which did not register were banned eventually. So there are several companies which are able to escape the ban as well. The prominent companies amongst them were TikTok, WeTalk, Viber, Nimbus, Popo Live, and others as well. However, critics argue that there is a hidden and vicious motive behind these actions of the government. They say that government is trying to police self-expression. They're also trying to muzzle criticism in the country and curb the freedom of press. So free information which is floating across these platforms, government is trying to meddle into it, government is trying to restrict free speech, and government is trying to impose a restriction on freedom of speech and expression of the public, which is one of the reason people started getting agitated with the current government. Now there were a lot of fundamental reasons as well because of which people of Nepal were not happy, especially the youth of Nepal, which was not happy.
ये जो हुआ है ना, ये इतना कुछ ये सोशल बैंडिंग के लेके नहीं हुआ है। नेपाल पुलिस ने गोली मारा, चुन के गोली मारा उसने। गोली मारने का एक तरीका होता है ना, गोर में मार के उसे घायल कर देने का, पर वैसा नहीं किया उसने सीधा यहाँ पर मारा है, डायरेक्ट वो मर गया है।
But this was the trigger point. And as you would know, that many of the Nepal's nationals, they're living abroad. They're living outside the country to earn their daily wages, to earn their daily livelihood. So social media as a tool for connectivity is a very major tool for them and for the individuals living in Nepal as well. And since Nepal's tourism-powered economy relies a lot on social media for its businesses, while for its expats, social media is a way of being connected to the family members in living in Nepal as well, this social media ban became a major issue. Because of that, youth got agitated and started protesting. But was that the only reason? The answer is no. Because soon after the decision was made, after a few weeks, the decision was overtaken. But soon after the decision was made, after humongous backlash all across the societies, this decision was taken back by the government. So then what is the reason of the protest? See, this is where the protest started. But eventually the protest got momentum because of the corrupt practices of the political leaders of Nepal. See, according to the popular belief amongst the youth of Nepal, majority of the members or the leaders in Nepal, what they are doing is they are trying to take power in Nepal. They're trying to earn as much money as they can, gather as much money as they can, do as much corruption as they can, and put that money outside the country and take that money outside the country and settle their loved ones and their family outside the country. Which means settling their loved ones and families in US, earning money from Nepal and taking money from Nepal to abroad through corrupt practices, through illegal ways and means. Now, because of this simmering tension over the last 15-20 years in Nepal, whereby after 2008-2009, when Nepal became a democracy, after that, these allegations of several leaders being corrupt and allegations of several leaders earning extra money than required and then offshoring the money and aiding their family members, this has not gone down well with the youth of Nepal. And several videos explaining the corrupt practices done by the political leaders are doing the rounds all across social media in Nepal. So all in all, we can understand that the youth of Nepal is increasingly getting frustrated with the same set of 70 plus leaders who come and go time and again. And all these leaders, they are facing corruption allegations, and either they are coming in or going out of power since the year 2008 when Nepal became a democratic republic. Now the first reason is very clear, that is a social media ban which triggered immediate protests. But the second fundamental reason, which was a broader reason as well, was the corrupt practices, underlining corrupt practices by the political leaders of Nepal. Now, based on these corrupt practices as well, one word was trending on social media in Nepal. That is Nepo kids or Nepo babies. Now, this was associated with the kids and the children of political leaders of Nepal and how these people are funding their lavish lifestyle abroad. So several young people all across social media, they started posting the address of these individuals. They started posting about the corruption being done by them, by the ruling class especially, known as Nepo babies, to attack them with entrenched privilege, which they are getting. Now these terms like Nepo babies, Nepo kids were trending online by posting pictures showing their lavish lifestyle all across the world. So which is why there is nothing to be shocked that why the youth of Nepal would be angry and why the youth of Nepal would be agitated. Now other than that, there are a lot of other economic and social issues as well, which gives a lot of other reasons to the youth of Nepal to be agitated and to not be good, to not be happy and to be unhappy with the government. Now, we have discussed certain reasons, but if we talk about the economy of Nepal, it hasn't been doing really well as well. Now, according to World Bank's report itself, Nepal's economic growth, it accelerated. In the first half of the financial year 2025, the real GDP grew by around 4.9%. Now, of course, this is an improvement than before because last year, the first half of the financial year 2024, the real GDP grew by 4.3%. And now it is growing by 4.9%, which is an okay amount, but this does not show the reality of Nepal. And this number does not represent the full picture at all. While these numbers are there, job creation in Nepal is slow, inequality is really very high, and inequality has worsened. Poverty has worsened due to climate vulnerabilities and natural disasters in the region as well. And climate vulnerabilities and natural disasters, both events are extremely high, and many amongst the youth are leaving the country as well. So several high net worth individuals from Nepal and several youth from Nepal are leaving the country for better opportunities with the hope of never returning to their country back. So also, if you see Nepal as an economy, it has been heavily relying on remittances, which are just nothing but unilateral one-way transfer from rest of the world to the home country. Now these remittances can't sustain the economy of Nepal forever. You have to create jobs, you have to provide employment, you have to provide livelihood, income source to the public in order for the economy of Nepal to sustain. But because this is not happening, people and the youth of Nepal are agitated. And of course, education-wise, society-wise, Nepal is not prosperous as well, which gives the youth yet another reason to be unhappy with the government of Nepal. And once we talk about employment, a staggering 82% of Nepal's youth, or Nepal's workforce to be specific, is a part of informal employment, which means formalization of workforce also remains a major issue amongst the people of Nepal. Also, we have earlier talked a lot about corruption, but there was one report which was published by Indian Express as well, several years back, which suggested that almost all the leaders in Nepal are under some sort of corruption cloud, some or the other sort of corruption cloud. Also, it has been in practice since the year 2006 in Nepal to provide immunity to politicians against investigations if a policy decision falters, which means essentially a decision by the cabinet. Now see, the Prime Minister of Nepal has fled the country, Home Minister of Nepal has resigned, President of Nepal has called people, the protesters, to hold talks, but Nepal is in ruins as of now. Political leadership of Nepal is gone. It is zero. Social fabric of Nepal has been destroyed. The gross national happiness of Nepal has gone down. Human Development Index of Nepal has gone down. And definitely these protests would cripple the economy of Nepal to a great extent as well. So all these situations combined shows that right now Nepal is not at a very good place. And India as a neighbor should definitely try to help Nepal, should definitely try to aid, advise or mentor Nepal in this particular situation for Nepal to come out of it in a healthy way. I hope you gained some new perspective from the session. Do let me know what are your views surrounding this particular issue. I'll be very happy to read your comments. All the very best and have a beautiful day. Thank you.